I don't even know how we got there, because I tried to make it clear how many civil rights, it doesn't just boil down to one conversation, but I can see that somebody's campaign coffers really are struggling right now. So she gonna keep saying trans, 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 so that people will feel threatened. And child, listen, I want y'all to tell me whether or
Do
not.
not call me a child. I am no child.
I want
Don't
to
even
find
start.
out
I am a grown
which
woman.
of those
I am 47 years
emails
old. I have broken
actually
more
have.
glass ceilings than you
Chairman,
ever
I
will.
am reclaiming my time.
You will not do that. I
Order.
am not a child.
I am
not a
reclaiming
child.
my time.
If you want to take it outside,
Mr. Chairman, the committee is not
Okay,
in order.
Order.
Point of order. Point of order.
Order. Chair recognizes Ms. Crockett.
No, point of order, Mr. Chairman.
State your point.
Is it allowed in the rules for a member to incite violence against another member? I mean, she said she wants to take it outside.
Today's House Judiciary hearing was anything but ordinary. What started as a debate over civil rights spiraled into insults, accusations of inciting violence, and a dramatic fight over words being stricken from the record. Republican Nancy Mace called Democrat Jasmine Crockett a child, then pushed inflammatory rhetoric on trans issues. But Crockett wasn't having it. She fired back, demanded order, and reclaimed her time, turning the tables with hard facts on women's health, reproductive freedom, and the reality of maternal health initias in states like Texas. This clash was more than political theater. It was a vivid example of what's at stake for women and families in America.
Hey, I have the First Amendment right too,
And
young
so
man.
I'd like those words
right.
to be
I'm not
taken
gonna be a
down.
child.
I am
I'm not gonna
moving
be
to have
called a
those
child
words
by
taken
any of
down.
you.
I believe it's against the rules to
Going outside
incite
doesn't
violence
incite
against
violence.
another
You have a
member of
conversation
Congress.
that isn't.
The committee will
interrupting this
suspend.
committee.
The member will state the words he wishes taken down.
Where she said that we can take it outside, which is direct violation against the rules, inciting violence against another member.
What rule? What rule? Cite the rule.
How does that incite violence?
Mr. Chairman, there are, if I might point out, Mr. Chairman, there are decorum rules in the House of Representatives.
And the two parliamentarians are discussing this right now. We'll suspend for a second. All right. The chair's going to make a rule. What the gentlelady said was, we can take this outside if you want. And
Okay, so
that could mean you could go outside and have a cup of coffee or perhaps a beer, or, I mean, we have
seriously,
Mr.
lots of
Chairman?
conversations outside.
Mr.
So I'm going to rule that that it was just
that it's okay.
that it's okay.
All right, and then point of inquiry. I have
And
a
remember,
question.
this is a slippery slope you're going down, because we have
Oh, you're
disagreements
going
in
down
this
the
committee,
slippery
as you
slope.
know.
So just to be clear, in this committee, we can ask we can threaten violence on someone as long as
no,
at the
that's
end.
not-
Excuse me.
I did not threaten violence.
Excuse me.
I threatened no
Excuse me.
violence.
There was
I threatened no
There
violence.
was no violence.
As long
no
as
violence.
at the
Don't
end.
create a
I
false
threatened
had a
no
question
violence.
that
No,
was over
none.
another
You're
person.
making shit up as
It's
you
good
go
to know.
along. You
Good
might
to
want
know.
to figure this one out.
Order. There was
Mr.
no
I thought you were
Chairman.
cursing today.
No violence.
Mr. Chairman,
No violence.
I'm going to appeal the ruling of the chair.
Mr. Chairman, I have
the ruling
a
of the
point of
chair.
inquiry,
State
and I
your
apologize
point.
because I had a meeting and came right down. Is it true that Ms. Mace was belittled by being called a child? Is that against our rules?
I would have to look up the rules. I don't know that it's
I'd like to
specifically
appeal
in the
the
rules.
word
We
ruling.
asked for proper
Well,
decorum.
can we strike
asked
it then?
everybody to
I'd like
go
to have
off
it
the
stricken.
meeting. Okay. Now,
I'd have Ms. Crockett's word stricken then.
There's a motion. You have a motion, Mr. Frost?
I move to appeal the ruling of the chair.
There's a motion to appeal the ruling of the chair. Chair recognizes Mr.
And then
Gosar.
there's
I
also
move
a
to
motion
table.
to strike words, Mr. Chairman.
I move to table, Mr. Chairman.
There's a motion.
Motion to take down words, sorry.
There's a motion to table. The motion is not debatable okay, the motion is not debatable. All those in favor of, what's the okay. We're going to vote on the motion to table by Mr. Gosar, to table Mr. Frost's appeal. So the motion is not debatable. As all in favor of Mr. Gosar's motion to table Mr. Frost's amendment or motion, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no.
No.
In the opinion of the chair, the
Mr.
ayes
Chair, I
have
ask for a
it.
recorded vote.
The motion is agreed to. A recorded vote is ordered. The clerk will call the roll. We have to do that right now. Clerk will call the roll. Would the clerk report the tally?
Mr. Chairman, on this vote, the ayes are 22, the nays are 17.
The motion to table passes. Now we will go back to debate, and I believe it was Ms. Crockett with 2 minutes and 57 seconds remaining.
Mr. Chairman, I have a
Mr.
motion.
Chair, I actually had more time than that, but
Mr. Chairman, I have
I
a
can
quick
finish
motion.
up in the 2:40.
Chairman, I have
I
a
was-
quick, Mr. Chairman, I have a
We'll give you 4 minutes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chairman, I have a quick motion.
Oh, wait a minute, Chair recognize Mr. Donalds.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we move to structured debate for 15 minutes on Ms. Crockett's amendment.
Motion and second to structure debate for 15 minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? No.
No.
Motion passes to limit debate to 15 minutes.
Mr. Chair, I'd ask for a recorded vote.
Really? Yeah. All right, the clerk will the clerk will call the roll on Mr. Donald's motion to limit debate to 15 minutes to each.
Parliamentary inquiry, Mr. Chairman. Are we in the middle of debating this motion?
I don't believe it's debatable, is it?
I
It is debatable. It's debatable. Yeah, the motion debate is already passed. I apologize. So now we're on the vote to, the clerk's calling the vote,
Right,
So-
a recorded vote.
recorded vote
Thank you.
on Mr. Donald's motion to limit debate to 15 minutes. All right, the clerk will report the vote tally.
Mr. Chairman, on this vote, the ayes are 23, the nays are 16.
All right, the motion passes for Mr. Donalds to limit debate to 15 minutes. Ms. Crockett will get her remaining 4 minutes, and then each side will have 7.5 additional minutes if necessary. So the chair recognizes Ms. Crockett for the remainder of her 4 minutes that don't count towards the limit to debate. Then from there on, if there's further requests for debate, there'll be 7.5 minutes each time. Chair recognizes Ms. Crockett for her remaining 4 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The final points that I was going to make is while this amendment has to do with civil rights, for whatever reason, the colleague on the other side of the aisle decided to attack Democrats and pretend as if we do not look out for women. And I want to be clear that it's Democrats that were pushing for the Equal Rights Amendment, and I don't recall any Republicans supporting us having the Equal Rights Amendment. I also want to make it clear that just because someone fantasizes or wants to be dramatic about the idea of someone could be a quote unquote man in a locker room or in a bathroom, I've yet to hear an actual testimony of someone who, for whatever reason, has experienced this in real time. But I can tell you some real numbers and some real facts, because I don't like to live in fantasy when I'm talking about how I'm going to govern for the American people. The facts are, in my state alone, in the state of Texas, once they decided that they were going to overturn the Roe decision, 26,000 women then ended up raped. 26,000 is what we had reported. And that was only within about a year's time span. And when they reported those rapes, none of them seemed to have anything to do with trans folk. And I don't recall any legislation to help out those women in Texas and beyond that are actually dying. We're not projecting may die, but are actually dying or have died in southern states that have decided that they wanted to go after our reproductive freedom. So as a woman in this country, as a Texan, and as a Black woman who, when we look at the numbers, and I believe in data and science, and I know that that escapes a lot of people in this chamber, but the numbers are clear that specifically Black women have always struggled when it came down to the maternal mortality rates in general. The fact that somebody who looks like me, no matter how much money they have, because I can remind you of a very wealthy tennis star that almost lost her life while trying to give birth. Some things I honestly just don't think should be partisan. And frankly, I do believe in privacy because honestly, I don't want none of y'all making decisions if I ever end up pregnant and have to decide what it takes for me to save my life. And I give the same opportunity for other women in this country to make decisions as they see fit. So while we look at how we protect women completely differently, I can tell you that at least in the 766,000 women or 766,000 constituents that I represent, I have had them come to me concerned about whether or not they could survive childbirth. But I have not had a single person in my district tell me that they were concerned that they may be raped by a trans person. So if there is an issue to solve in this country based on facts, data, and statistics, I think that we need to look at the type of health care that we are going to advance for women in this country. And with that, I will yield.
Gentlelady yields back. We're going to now go into the 15-minute cap.
The House Judiciary Committee is no stranger to heated exchanges, but what unfolded in this particular session underscored just how deeply divided the chamber has become, not only over policy, but over the very rules of decorum that are supposed to guide its work. At the center of the storm was Representative Jasmine Crockett, Democrat of Texas, who once again demonstrated that she is not afraid to call out hypocrisy, not afraid to confront Republican theatrics, and not afraid to place the focus squarely where it belongs, on the lives and rights of the American people. The session began with what was supposed to be debate over civil rights provisions, but Republicans, and in particular Representative Nancy Mace of South Carolina, chose a familiar playbook. Shift the conversation away from concrete issues like reproductive freedom and systemic inequities, and instead hammer on fear-driven talking points about trans people, about supposed threats in bathrooms and locker rooms, about imagined dangers designed to rile up a base rather than solve actual problems. Representative Crockett pushed back forcefully, noting that it was Democrats, not Republicans, who have long fought for the Equal Rights Amendment and for expanding protections for women and marginalized groups. And she exposed what Mace's repeated invocations of trans were really about: campaign coffers running dry and the desperate need to manufacture outrage in order to attract fundraising dollars. The confrontation escalated when Mace referred to Crockett dismissively as a child. That insult alone, a blatant violation of basic respect among colleagues, sparked an immediate reaction. Crockett shot back, asserting firmly, "Do not call me a child. I am no child." She reclaimed her time and made it clear she would not be diminished, belittled, or silenced. The committee quickly descended into procedural chaos, with members shouting "order, order, order," while motions flew back and forth. When Mace suggested they could take it outside, Democrats rightly raised a point of order, arguing that such language constituted inciting violence against another member. At that point, all eyes turned to the committee chair, who was left in the unenviable position of having to rule on the meaning of "we can take it outside." Rather than uphold decorum and recognize the seriousness of the remark, the chair attempted to brush it aside, suggesting it could mean something as harmless as grabbing a coffee. That ruling only fueled more outrage, as Democrats highlighted the dangerous precedent of normalizing veiled threats under the guise of banter. What followed was a flurry of parliamentary maneuvers, motions to strike words, motions to appeal the ruling of the chair, motions to table. Republicans closed ranks, tabling Democratic challenges with votes along party lines. In the midst of this procedural crossfire, it became clear that the majority strategy was not to uphold fairness, but to shield their own from accountability while painting Democrats as disruptive. Yet when the dust settled and time returned to Representative Crockett, she did not waste a single second. In her remaining minutes, she delivered a passionate, data-driven indictment of Republican governance. She noted that in her home state of Texas, since the overturning of Roe v. Wade, over 26,000 rapes had been reported in the span of just 1 year. Not one of those cases, she pointed out, had anything to do with the trans fear-mongering Republicans kept invoking. Instead, the real danger, the tangible, devastating danger, was that women were being denied reproductive health care, forced into pregnancies against their will, and even dying as a result of draconian abortion bans. Crockett reminded her colleagues and the nation that maternal mortality in America is not an abstraction. It is a crisis, especially for Black women who face disproportionately high risks during pregnancy and childbirth, regardless of income or status. She cited the example of a wealthy tennis star who nearly lost her life giving birth, proof that money cannot insulate women from systemic inequities in maternal care. Her point was unassailable. The issue is not a phantom menace of trans individuals in restrooms, but the real, documented suffering and death of women under policies enacted by Republican legislatures. What Crockett did in that moment was recenter the conversation. Amid all the theatrics, the insults, and the procedural wrangling, she spoke plainly and powerfully about what matters: protecting women's health, defending civil rights, and making sure government serves people instead of exploiting fear. She reminded Americans watching that Democrats are the ones advancing policy grounded in science, in data, and in compassion, while Republicans are too often resorting to distraction, division, and cultural panic. This clash also highlighted a broader truth about today's political climate. The Republican Party has increasingly leaned on performative outrage in committee hearings, viral soundbites, personal insults, and contrived controversies, while Democrats, though outnumbered in some of these settings, continue to use their time to elevate substantive issues. Representative Crockett's focus on reproductive rights and maternal health was not only a direct rebuttal to the attacks from across the aisle, it was also a window into the stakes of the 2024 and 2026 elections. Because the policies being debated in committee rooms today are the ones shaping the lives of millions tomorrow. The procedural chaos we witnessed, with motions to strike words, rulings of the chair, and appeals flying back and forth, might appear to viewers as inside baseball, but it is important to understand what was at play. For Democrats, enforcing decorum rules was about ensuring that members cannot threaten or demean one another with impunity. For Republicans, dismissing those concerns was about protecting their own, even at the cost of lowering standards of conduct in Congress. That willingness to bend or ignore the rules when politically convenient is part of a broader pattern, one we have seen in legislative fights, in court challenges, and even in the refusal to accept electoral outcomes. It is governance not by principle, but by raw power. And yet, even in the middle of that dysfunction, there are voices like Crockett's, voices refusing to yield to distraction, voices demanding that facts matter more than fear. When she listed the statistics from Texas, tens of thousands of rapes, skyrocketing maternal mortality, she drew a line in the sand. She said, in effect, if we are going to talk about protecting women, then let us do so honestly, with real data and with real solutions. That is the difference between governing and grandstanding. The exchange also shed light on the way Republicans deploy language. When Mace called Crockett a child, it was not only disrespectful, it was an attempt to delegitimize her authority as a colleague, as a woman, and as a Black woman in particular. Crockett's refusal to accept that label was more than personal dignity. It was political resistance against a culture of condescension and erasure. Likewise, when Mace said we can take it outside, whether intended as a literal threat or not, it fit into a broader pattern of rhetoric that flirts with aggression, even violence. For Democrats to insist that such words be taken seriously was not pettiness. It was a defense of the standard that words in Congress matter, that they shape behavior, and that they cannot be casually dismissed. What viewers saw in this clash, then, was not simply another partisan squabble, but a microcosm of the larger struggle defining American politics today. On one side, Democrats like Jasmine Crockett, grounding their arguments in data, defending rights, and demanding accountability. On the other, Republicans like Nancy Mace, relying on culture war theatrics, thinly veiled insults, and performative outrage designed more for social media clips than for serious governance. The hearing will be remembered not just for the shouting, the gaveling, and the cries of order, 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 but for the clarity of Crockett's message. She drew attention back to the lived experiences of her constituents, 766,000 Texans, many of whom are more concerned about surviving childbirth than about hypothetical scenarios Republicans conjure to distract from their failures. And in doing so, she revealed the true priorities of each party: Democrats fighting to save lives, Republicans scrambling to score political points. As America watches these hearings, the lesson is clear. The stakes are not about parliamentary motions or personal insults. They are about whether our government will respond to real problems with real solutions, or whether it will continue to be hijacked by fear-mongering and culture wars. Jasmine Crockett's voice in that chamber was a reminder that the Democratic Party, for all its challenges, is still the one speaking up for science, for justice, and for the basic dignity of women and families. And that is why this clash matters. It was not simply a committee squabble. It was a battle over whose voices count, whose realities are recognized, and whose rights will be defended. On that day, amid all the noise, Crockett made sure the truth was heard.